Welcome back to the Bernard Lee Poker Show. We are talking with the 2021 3000 Six Max Limit Hold'em champion, Ryan Hansen, who won this summer for about $110,000. He beat out a field of 162 entries and took down his first bracelet. I do want to mention one or ask one thing that we didn't mention in the first part of our interview was the Six Max aspect, which is a little bit different than the normal aspect of it, right? So when you're playing no limit hold'em, Six Max, uber aggressive. I mean, it's unbelievable. And you could actually counter argue that if you are in that situation, which actually happens probably the majority of the time, the majority that I'm playing Six Max, I see that. You could actually go with the theory of, okay, let them all do it and just wait, right? And so wait, when you get a big hand, doesn't matter, they're always going to be aggressive. So just wait, and then boom, you just like, you just get all your chips. That strategy has worked sometimes very well. But I've done very well in Six Maxes. But in limit, what's the difference? Because this is obviously, a limit style. You can't be like ridiculously uber aggressive because you can't put the bets in. But is there that much of a difference when you're playing full ring, 9-handed, 10-handed, or Six Max?
Of course there is. The blinds come around quicker, and the blinds are bigger in limit than they are in no limit too. I mean, so they hurt you a bit more and they come around a bit quicker. So you do have to step up your aggressive level. I think if you just sit around and wait for a big hand in the Six Max, you're gonna get run over. Your blinds are gonna get bullied, and you have to get in there. You have to mix it up, and you have to do a little bullying yourself. Otherwise, I think the table's gonna run you over.
Right.
There's a lot more bluffing in a full ring game. You're much more apt to be up against aces, kings, queens, or some big hand like that. In Six Max, not nearly as often. So you need to be a little less cautious. You need to be a little bit more aggressive, and you need to bully people and get them to fold. And that's how you win pots. That's the best. My favorite way to win pots is to get the other guy to fold.
And there's no big blind ante in limit, right?
No, that's
right.
Correct.
Which a no limit hold'em person would say. I mean, simply it would be obviously a thing that they would think about. So it's very similar to kind of like pot limit in some respects. So let's talk a little bit about the tournament. You said 162 entries. Weren't thinking about playing or winning by any stretch. It was just more for fun, right? That's what you're saying. You're just like, hey, let's just enjoy it and have a good time playing, right?
Absolutely. That and it was, I was playing cash the night before, and Ronnie and everybody was talking about playing limit, cash at the Bellagio, and everybody's talking about the tournament the next day, and you playing or whatever. And I was sort of like on the fence actually the night before. I was like, I don't know, I'm not really a tournament guy, and probably just a waste of time. I'm not even sure if I'll enjoy it or whatever. And it was Ronnie Barda who was actually talking to me about it. He says, come on, man, you got to do this. This tournament is so much fun. It's short-handed, limit hold'em. This is the best tournament that that in the whole series. He's like, if you're going to play one tournament, this is, I mean, I don't know if he said all of this, but this is how I internalized what he was saying.
Right.
So,
right.
So that conversation, I was just like, you know what? I'm out here in Vegas. This is what we come for. Let's do it. Let's take a shot. See what happens.
Right.
So,
you guys get through day one. There were only 78 players left in the tournament itself. Former guest Ray Hansen was actually chip leading. A lot of good players still in the tournament. And for you had a solid stack, about 87,000. But going into day three, there were only 10 players left, and it really went well for you in day two, as you were third in chips, but very close. You three were very, very close. Yes. Over 1 million chips going into day three. How did you, first of all, how did day two go? It must have gone incredibly well. And then how did you feel going into day three? Was this kind of like a really weird, surreal moment to be like, this is ridiculous? I'm like down to the final 10.
It certainly had trouble sleeping after day two. Day one was, okay, whatever. There's still a long way to go.
We haven't even cashed yet. Whatever. Yeah.
Glad to make it to day two, but had no trouble sleeping after day one. Day two, my mind's racing. Like you said, I'm third in chips, but it's basically a three-way tie for first place. I felt very confident. The The players that were left were a lot of people that I've been playing against at Bellagio. So I kind of felt like I knew how they played, was not intimidated by them. I mean, they were good players. I'm not saying anything different, but I had a comfort level of knowing who they were.
But you've been there before, right? You've played against
Yeah.
these guys before. It's not like you're in awe of these guys, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? You played against them. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I had, basically the chip lead, 3-way tie for the chip lead, and knew the players, was confident. And so I felt really good at the end of day 2, and didn't get a lot of sleep that night, which made me very nervous when I did get up. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to play 10 hours of poker. This is going to be exhausting. I hope I make it. So that was sort of my feeling going from day 2 to day 3. Yeah.
Right. Well, you get down to what is technically the final table, final 6. And then they give you a break because they're going to put you on Poker Go. Did you guys know that you were going to be on Poker Go? Because not many of these smaller, and I'm not saying 3,000 is nothing. I know some people are like, what are you talking about? 3,000? I can't buy into a 3,000 event. But I'm saying most of the ones on Poker Go are $10,000 buy-ins in the 50,000 player championship, etc. Did you guys know that this was going to be on Poker Go no matter what, or was this a surprise?
I think they explained it to us at the end of day 2. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that I knew at the end of day 2 that the next day the final table was going to be broadcast.
Yeah, and I think, did you feel like that had anything to do with it? Because I know that I've played at tables before where they knew that it was going to be streamed the next day, and you could flat out tell. People were like just folding because they're like, they just want to be on camera because they want to call home and be like, look who's on, look, me, you know what I mean? And like, you could take advantage. Trust me, I'm telling you, I took advantage of it a couple of times because they just didn't want to be knocked out. Did people start like, you could kind of get a sense of people are like, I really would like to make through one more player, that kind of thing.
I get, and once the cash hits, you sort of feel like that happens a lot anyway because people are trying to move up a spot. I don't think that I tied it together to being on Go Poker at all. So I did not exploit that. If that was happening, I was not smart enough to figure that out and exploit it at the moment.
You're like, next time.
Right.
When you got down to the final 6, you were second in chips, but it went very well at the beginning. 5 left, you were chip leader. 4 left, you were chip leader. You got the heads up with your opponent. Your opponent was kind of a 2-to-1 chip leader on you, but you started out like a gangbuster when you guys started playing heads up, and the big hand happened. Your opponent raised on the button. You 3-bet from the big blind. He called. The flop came 8-8-3, 2 hearts. And why this was such a big hand was you held the other 2 8s. So you flopped the nutter butters with a quad 8s, and you just bet out. And they talk about it. Jeff Platt and Norman Chad were on there, and they're like, he's not slowing down. He's just going. And can you explain, because I think that in a no limit world, everyone, the majority of the people in all honesty are just checking that. They just cannot let the person fold in that spot. Like you said, in limit, the worst potential is if the person's just check calling you the whole way, you're going to lose 2.5 big bets. Whereas in no limit, obviously you could lose potentially their entire stack. The tournament could be over. What's kind of for you the rationale of leading out? I think I understand it, but would love to hear it from your own words. You lead out because, hey, if he's got something, he may even check raise me. You know what I mean?
I let out because I know he's getting paid 6-to-1. Right. We just put in 3 bets on the pre-flop, and I'm putting in 1 bet on the flop. He's calling me no matter what he has.
Right.
I don't think that he puts me on an 8. I 3-bet pre-flop. What hands 3-bet pre-flop with an 8 in it? Not very many. Pocket 8s do, but that's pretty rare. So I don't think he gives me anything, and he's getting paid 6-to-1 for the single bet. So I was very confident that he was going to call that bet.
Right.
I believe did the turn come to 4 of hearts?
Yeah, turn comes 4 of hearts, so it completes the flush.
Right.
He has, so everyone knows, he has king 4. So now he suddenly gets tremendous value. If you don't have an 8 and you have blank, 2 overcards, whatever, suddenly he's a monster in this. Flush does scare him potentially a little bit. You bet. He actually thinks a little bit, calls.
Right.
The
Yes.
river is the ace of clubs, which is probably the worst card, not the worst, but a very bad card for him and you, because you want to make sure you get the complete value. I mean, like, I think
Right.
deuce of diamonds, he just snap calls. He doesn't even think about it, right? Doesn't even worry
Absolutely.
about it, right? I mean, God, there's even a chance he could raise you, for the love of God, right? So like, but that ace is horrible, because if he's thinking you've got 2 overs and that 4 is good, oh crap, he might have just gotten there. And he talks himself. I mean, it was a tank. It was a tank. What are you going through during that tank? Please go, please go, please go, please go. Like, what are you thinking?
Well,
or please have the flush. Please have the flush.
I'm hoping that he's thinking about raising.
Yeah.
You don't always know whether it's the fold tank or the raise tank.
Right. Right.
It felt like the fold tank, though, pretty quickly on. I mean,
yeah,
he can kind of give away his tells at that point, because he knows he's either folding or calling. So if I figure out what his hand is, there's nothing there. So he let his guard down a little bit at that point. And then I was like, oh shoot, this is a fold or call tank. Hopefully he calls. I don't know what he has here, but that ace suddenly looks like a bad card. I actually felt like every card was a good card for me, because I was like I said, I mean, obviously you like flopping quads. That's a wonderful feeling.
Of course.
The turn comes the 4 of hearts. I'm like, if he has any heart in his hand, he's now getting paid 4-1.
Right.
And he could, have an over at the heart or whatever. So I'm thinking he's going to call me again. That's why I keep leading out. And I'm afraid he's going to check behind. So that's why I keep leading out. And I'm hoping he hit the hearts. So I'm hoping for the raise, obviously. And then the ace comes. I'm like, well, he raised pre-flop. Good chance he has an ace in his hand. I almost went for the check raise on the river, thinking that he did have an ace. But I just decided, for whatever reason, that I don't know. I don't want him checking behind. I want to get the maximum value I can out of this. But that was the only street I considered checking. I did not consider checking the flop at all, because I know he's paying me every time. The turn, there was just, I was afraid he would fold the turn, but I was just like, there's so many hands that he has to call. Any heart, any pair, there's a lot of hands he has to call there. And then the river, I was like, oh, hopefully he hit an ace. I'm going to bet again.
Right. Once that ace hits, you must have been like, oh God, please. Oh God, please let that happen. Right.
In the moment, I thought every card was good for me. And then when he thought on the ace, I was like, oh shoot, that ace, he should, I mean, I don't know what he's supposed to do there. It's a really tough spot with the 4s. The ace, he's almost always buried when I 3-bet pre-flop when the ace comes. But as we talked about in limit, he's now getting paid, what, 5-1, 6-1?
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible, right? Well, so 4 bets there, and yeah, I mean, it was probably like 6-1 or something like that. And the difficult thing was the 3-bet, right? Like, so you could see it. He was trying to convince himself, there's no way that I'm going to win you. It was a bad card. Any other card, literally any other card,
insta call.
You're safe. Any other card, maybe a heart hurts you because he didn't have a heart, right? So like, that could have hurt you. But any other card, I honestly think he snap calls. Like anything, 9, 10, jack. He's like, whatever. Okay, if you have me, you have me, that kind of thing, and that was the one card where he was like, ugh, that kind of thing. That would have sucked if he folded, obviously, on that one. Did you feel like, I don't want to say that you had it at that point, because you were still not a chip leader at that point, but did you suddenly start feeling like this might be my day at that moment?
I felt that way waking up, and nothing really
deterred
from there. Me the whole day. So I was feeling confident going in. I was not sure I was going to win the tournament until the 9 of clubs hit the river on the final hand, and my king high held good. Kosi was a very good player, very strong. If he gets a run of cards, he's going to be able to run me over, and you're stuck. When you're playing heads up hold'em, your luck factor is huge, and he's a very good player. And if he gets a little bit of luck, things can swing very really.
You're really at that moment, you're really, especially 2 really good players, you're really kind of almost at the mercy of the cards, because there's like nothing, like if he gets dealt good cards and you don't, it doesn't matter. Sorry, you're going to lose, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of, it's just what it is. What could it be? Like you could have flopped, like the worst scenarios, you could have flopped quad 8s, and he literally missed completely. And he, like you said, he probably never folds there, but on the turn, if it's like the 9 of diamonds, he mucks, and that's it. Right. And you don't get that 320,000 extra chips, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it sure hell is. I mean, that was, it's still something significant. It really got you close to even.
yeah, every big bet was huge.
Right.
Every big
At
bet
that stage of the game,
Yeah.
every hand was critical, especially if you're going to the turn or the river, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, my battery's a little low.
No worries. No worries. So just wrapping it up right now, congratulations. Any more interest in going out? You're going to go, is this now an annual event? Like you got to play this event every single time? You know, people say it all the time, like, oh, I want it. Now I got to play every year. You know, is this something or is it like, nah, if I go to the series, I'll play, but I'm not going to make it I have to do this.
I plan to play it next year. I guess I'll leave it at that.
See, gotcha.
We'll see how that
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, congratulations. Fantastic win. Great for a New Englander from Stamford, Connecticut, and to take down your first bracelet. Congratulations and all the best, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Brandon. Bernard.
No problem.
Edit that out.
Ryan Hansen here on the Bernard Lee Poker Show. We congratulate him winning his bracelet. We'll have more winners and more news about the World Series of Poker. But as always, may you always go in with the best hand and may you never get unlucky. Good night, everybody.